Hey, welcome to an episode of Nairobi Book Love, the podcast. Just now, I was trying to remember how I do my intro, and I cannot. So, sup. So today's guest is synonymous with African literature. When you talk about African literature, specifically in Nairobi, in Kenya, her name is going to come up. She is a champion of all things African literature. She is. In fact, she's a literary activist. In fact, those were the words that we used the first time we ever interviewed her. She's a bookstore owner. She's a book publisher. That's the word. And she's my friend, so it's weird, like being like isiviaki nakaje. Anywho, welcome to the podcast, Muthoni Muiruri.
Thank you.
And the crowd went wild. But even more importantly. She's a big deal because guess what she does? She blurbs books, which is why we got this one today. Look at this one.
Oh my
Can
gosh.
you see? Is there a close-up? Kuna close-up. If you do a close-up, you're going to see her name over there. Up here, just over here somewhere. Let's see it. This is, I want to say, Odafens, we were girls once. This is the Nigerian edition.
That's, yes, West Africa.
West African edition, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, it's regional.
It's a region.
And the blurb is by Muthoni. So this proves that she's a big deal and she's on the podcast. And it's such an honor to have you again. We've had you on the podcast in previous seasons as part of Soma, Nami, which is the book club that became the bookstore.
The blog that became
the bookstore, which is one of my favorite bookstores ever. And I'm really happy to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Koi.
Welcome.
You know, I was so excited when you said, I'm not going to ask you to introduce yourself, just because every time somebody goes like, so tell me about yourself. And I'm like,
I know.
Who am I?
Who are you, though? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All those things we've said.
I've just landed myself in a trap.
Don't even worry. But the last time we spoke, Soma Nami was basically almost brand new. You guys were like a year in. Now it's going on 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's 2 editions of the African Book Festival later.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot more to catch up in what's been happening in that space.
Yeah, true.
But today's episode primarily was about talking about African literature and the books that we're reading and the books that are coming out and this and you know just have a nice chat about that. I feel like it's important because we are Africans. And in the very first episode, I'm going to reference that a lot clearly. I remember you talking about the fact that you wanted a bookstore whereby there's no Africana session.
Yeah.
The entire book is Africana or just, a bookshop, period.
Yeah.
Because we're in Africa, why are we giving ourselves an Africana section?
Let me tell you, that's, I think, one of the things I am most passionate about. And especially when I go into bookstores on the continent, I feel it's very weird when you get into a bookstore on the continent and there's a corner called African literature. It just feels very othering, right? And in the instances where I've been in, such a room, I'm just like, why am I still in the corner, right?
Correct. A section as opposed to being at the forefront.
Yes, correct. Right? So that was very intentional to have a store or a space where this is the norm. And I love it. I think now we're having a different conversation because I remember when we had the initial conversation, it was like, I want this to be the norm. I want people to come in and not have to ask questions. I want people to come in and not get shocked because, the initial reaction was shock, surprise, like, oh my God.
It's only African?
You only do Africa?
Yeah.
And so it was probably a year or a year and a half of those questions. But I think we've made so much progress because nobody asks those questions. Nobody, and I love that. I love that we have been able to sort of remove ourselves from, the hinges and become very mainstream and become the main characters. Love it.
I love it. And I guess part of it is driven by the fact that when people walk into a bookstore, perhaps that's not the first thing that they want.
Yeah.
Because we were so used to having other kinds of things in the bookstore.
Yeah.
So you're so geared or socialized towards thinking now, when I enter, first it's going to be textbooks.
Yeah.
Because that's what we have done for a long time.
Yep.
Then it's going to be, popular fiction from across the world. Then, there's like an African literature one.
Yeah.
But now I think given the fact that we're publishing more and widely, it's not just about set books, so to speak, not just about, those traditional classical African books. We're writing sci-fi, we're writing historical fiction, we're writing romance, like we're writing all sorts of things. So slowly by slowly, maybe in like 5 years, because now Soma Nami is 2 branches in, isn't it? Yes.
Oh my God, another update. Yes. Yeah. But also, I think I wanted to speak on that and say, what also the messaging that Soma Nami has been able to do was make people self-reflect and question.
Yeah.
Like, sort of like question, why do you feel like when you go into a bookstore, you have to ask for, the African section at the corner? So people are now more aware of it. And I think at times, just sparking a thought in somebody is usually so crucial, because most of these things are force of habits. Like you said, when you go into a bookstore, you're getting a textbook, you're getting a popular fiction or popular lit, and then you have to ask yourself, sort of like pause and ask yourself, actually, this has been, my MO, this has been how I operate, why? Mm-hmm. So that question, why, I think is very important. And a lot of readers are now becoming, at least in my experience, becoming very intentional and conscious readers, conscious about what they're picking up, why they're picking it up, what they want it to do for them. So I think it's almost like a renaissance, if I were to say that. Yeah.
I love it.
And even the growth of Soma Nami, if you think about it, being able to open a second store of African books in the same city in less than 3 years is remarkable.
That's a big deal.
And that's not me or my partner. That's the readers. That's the interest. That's, the feedback. So it's not that my partner and I have done incredible work in, building a business. It's no, this is what the client is saying. This is what the reader is saying. This is what the customer is saying.
Correct.
This is what the public is saying.
It's market driven.
Yes.
There's demand. Exactly. And I love that.
Yeah.
The fact that, because we used to be told we don't read.
Yeah.
And then we're told we don't read our own.
Yeah.
Now look at that, changing the narrative a year at a time. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So this episode, what I want us to do is just talk about African reads in review. It's not going to be exhaustive, obviously.
Yeah.
Because even now, when you look online and you see how many Kenyans are self-publishing, it is amazing.
Incredible.
There was a time you could count a handful of authors, and now there are too many to count.
Yeah.
People are writing about everything from money to memoirs to, what's this one that came out around the time we had the protests? Breaking down the Constitution for young people to digest. Like I love the diversity in the things that we're writing.
Yeah.
So let's start right here at home. If you look at 2024 in review, what are some of the most notable literary moments that happened this year?
Oh, many.
Yep.
Like you said, a lot of Kenyans are self-publishing.
Correct.
And, that's a whole conversation about how traditional publishing has for a long time excluded Kenyans, excluded Africans. Let me just even generalize it and say excluded Africans from traditional publishing. The process is complex. You have to get an agent, you have to get a publishing house, you have to do all these things.
It's expensive.
It's expensive as well. And there's so many excellent writers in Kenya. But the way the publishing industry has been set up globally, with traditional publishing and having to find agents and then, hope to be one of the 20 Africans who are published in a year.
There's a set model, basically, of how you do things.
Yes. Yeah. Right? There's a quota. Like that's enough from Africa this year. Or even if we look at Kenya and think about publishing in Kenya, which is very academic driven, textbook driven, a lot of the publishers who are established, and we can even talk about it, like there's political context to why they publish the way they publish. But they are more geared towards academic books. And so there's a void. There are writers who are writing and their books are not getting published. And what we see happening is a lot of writers are taking, the power back and saying, you know what, I have something to say and I'm going to find a way to say it.
Yeah.
And so many writers are self-publishing.
Yeah.
And what has stood out for me this year in particular is also just how much those writers are advocating for themselves, are finding new ways to get markets.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see, right?
Yes.
And they've been able to, I want to be cliche and say, take the lemons and make some lemonade.
Yeah.
Beyonce moment.
We had to have one at least in the episode.
One. She always comes up. But yeah. So, and a lot of writing across genres.
Yes.
Children's books, right? If you think about nonfiction, political books, fiction books, academic, all sorts of genres, Kenyans are writing. And if the industry is not yet ready, the writers are saying, hey, you need to rethink it. You need to figure out what we're going to do, because we're writing and we're putting out work. And yeah, it's honestly been I think this year for Kenyan writing, if we think about the industry, the entire landscape, we think about the festivals as well, right?
Yeah.
Festivals that are also pushing Kenyan writers.
Yeah.
Makondo Festival.
We had Makondo this year.
NBO Lit Fest.
We had NBO Lit Fest this year as well. We had African Book Festival this year.
I wanted it to be the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Last but not least.
Last but not least.
Yeah.
African Book Fair, which is that celebration, which is a space that has been curated to celebrate Kenyan and African writers and, feature these writers, give them a platform, right? Because nobody's asking them to come talk about the books. So even the idea of the African Book Fair was to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, we were tired of looking across, whether the continent or globally, and seeing all these writers being invited to speak about their work. Where was the space for Kenyan writers, right? To talk about their work, to push their work, to interact with their audiences, with their readers. So at the heart of the African Book Fair, we wanted to create a platform to allow Kenyan writers, Kenyan thinkers to be able to speak to each other and also speak to the public and, see how can we do this thing? How do we become also self-reliant and stop always looking outside and looking for validation, looking for opportunities outside when there are so many freaking opportunities.
Right here at home.
Right here at home.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment from the African Book Festival, which I moderated,
Book
one
fair.
of the sessions, Book Fair,
Yes.
ABF. I think other than just the books and the celebration of the books, because there's so many books, and I think it's the one festival I feel like I'm surrounded by books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the primary reason is just to be immersed in these books, and I love that. And I love the fact that, it's divided by region. So that if there's a particular region, because for me, I realize I don't really read a lot of North African. I don't read a lot of Central African. So it's very deliberate to come there and be like, let me pick up a couple of people from here. So when I say that I'm reading the continent, I'm actually reading the entire continent. So I love the immersion of being in the books. And I love the fact that the conversations are they're for the books and they're also around the books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we had some really fantastic conversations, and I love that. What I loved about the MBO Lit Fest was, meeting the author, Bernadine.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Evaristo.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was really
fantastic.
fun.
Yeah.
You moderated her session.
I did.
That was a moment as well.
Oh my gosh.
So if you won't plug for yourself, let me plug for you. That was a moment. That session was was one of the highlights for my literary, year.
Aww.
In terms of just sitting there and listening to her speak and what she's been through, and very, very, frank in terms of how, the Booker Prize changed her life and what it's like publishing for her, for someone who looks like her, Black and British. And I think I really enjoyed that. That was a highlight for NBO Lit Fest for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was for me as well.
Yeah.
I remember when I was invited to speak to Bernadine, I was like, oh my God. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, she is the biggest, most celebrated Black writer, if you think about it, right? And I remember having a moment of, oh my God, this is going to be this, oh my God, panicking, panic attack, anxiety, but then I put on my big girl panties and I was like, I'm going to do it. I think I'm up to the task. And I love her and I love her work.
Yes.
And it was such an honor to speak to her. And also, she's so down to earth. Yeah. Like, at times, I think you build up these people and then you psych yourself out, but then you meet the person. A, they're so approachable. Two, they don't even take themselves too seriously.
Yes,
like you can crack a joke, you can have a moment.
Yeah.
And I also loved exactly what you said. Her bringing her humanness or humanity or, just her vulnerabilities publicly and saying, I wanted to win it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be cocky about it and say that I didn't recognize what the Booker Prize or winning the Booker Prize would do.
Yep.
And, and I get, chivalry. You know, people say, I don't write for awards. I write because I have a story, right?
Yes.
But she said, yes, I do write because I have a story, but also I did want to win
absolutely
the Booker Prize because I'm very cognizant of what the prize did, what it's still doing, the opportunities that it has provided me from that win. That was also for me, not that I was moderating, but my favorite session.
Yeah. It was a good session. It was a good session, and I love the fact that now that we have the festivals and the fairs as mainstays on our calendar, at least we have at least 3 or 4 now, isn't it? That we every year we can, know that this is going to happen.
Yeah.
That is, I think, a fantastic win for us as Kenyans.
Yeah, it is.
That is absolutely amazing. And the fact that we're seeing more and more bookstores that are also biased towards not just African, but also about Kenyan books, specifically Kenyan books. Because when you look at Nuria online, every time I look at the page and I'm like, where we are publishing, my guy.
Yes.
Every single time.
Yes.
Because I remember when I started the podcast and I was like, are we going to have enough Kenyan writers to interview? Now I'm like, I don't know if we have enough time to interview everyone who's coming, and it's pretty awesome. So maybe my question would be, on average, how many people approach you as a bookstore owner? How many Kenyans to be like, listen, please stock my book, on average?
Every day.
Every day?
Every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every single day you'll have at least 1 or 2. And you'll have 1 or 2 writers saying, I have published a book. Would you mind carrying it in your store?
Yes.
I know about Soma, Nami. I love what you guys are doing. I love the brand. I would want my book carried in the store.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And we do provide that opportunity. We are also stocking a lot of Kenyan books because it's at the heart of what we do. And it's home. Right? And it does not make sense for me to have a store with 90% Nigerian books, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know about the Journey to 54, which was the idea of basically traveling across the continent via books and getting those books in one store in Nairobi. And probably that's my biggest achievement because I think this is the year that we hit all 54 African countries.
The other day I saw one of your books that you were spotlighting was from Cape Verde. And I was like, you guy, I have never thought about reading.
Yep.
The only thing I know about that country is Sarajevo. And I'm like,
Yeah.
So I made a conscious decision to be like, I'm going to pick that up because I need to know what is that culture?
Yeah.
What are they writing about? What is their style? What are their pain points? What are their challenges? What are their stories?
Yeah.
And I think, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. And I love that hits home. And that's usually the feedback from so many people.
Yeah.
Even like it's a book we actually did for book club.
Yes.
And 99% of the book club was like, I would never, ever have picked up this book.
By myself. Yeah.
But book club is making me do it. And also I'm curious. They actually write.
Yes.
And then you also realize just how arrogant you sort of like are.
When you're in your bubble.
When you're in your bubble, right? When you're in that bubble. And I think there's a term where it's either, I can't remember if it's called bubble of ignorance. Yes, that bubble of ignorance.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not because you want to be ignorant. It's only because you don't even think outside of the bubble, right? And you only think in terms of mainstream. So if I ask an average Kenyan, what African books have you read? It's very likely that I'll get, Kenya because it's home and there's Ngugi, right?
And he's been around for a while.
He's been around for a while.
Yes.
We're forced to read Ngugi.
Yes.
And also, but if you also interrogate that further, it's like, I've not probably been very intentional with reading, a lot of other Kenyan writers.
Or even him, his backlist,
Yes.
Yeah.
But then people will also say Nigeria. And granted, Nigeria
they're formidable. The industry churns out quite a bit. And the fact is that they have the infrastructure to support that, churning out of books as often as they do.
Yeah.
They simply have that. But as much as we're not there yet, we're getting there.
We are getting there.
You are getting there. It's true.
Because
I think this is the year I read a book from Central African Republic. I forget the author, but it was as recommended by
Co-widows?
I think it was that exactly. Also from Congo.
Yeah.
Alain Mabanku.
Yes.
It's the first time I read a book from Namibia, The Eternal Audience of One.
Yep.
First time I read Egypt, if an Egyptian cannot speak English. So when you look at all these things, you're like, okay, you have to be intentional if you do want to read Journey to 54, like you said.
Yeah.
I saw the brittle paper Because,
100 notable books
of 2024. And I was looking at the list and I was like, actually, that's a pretty good list. In fact,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through it. Hi, Brittle Paper. Thank you for content. Because they already have compiled it and it's amazing. And they have done a good job of compiling from across the continent. And they said notable.
Yeah.
Meaning that in all likelihood, you have been published by a publishing house that, has distribution rights widely.
Yeah.
So that a lot more people across the continent are reading your books. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can, of course, it's not going to be an exhaustive list.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good place to start. And also for everyone to strive to say, listen, I want to be on this list.
Yeah.
So some of the books I recognize, some of them I'm like, do better.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Uche Okonkwo. Okonkwo is man of the people.
Yes.
But when I saw Okonkwo, I may remember Major. And I was like, you need to do better. As a literary
but
person.
it's an actual Nigerian name.
It is an actual Nigerian name. Major,
Yeah.
this is your fault. I hear Okonkwo and I'm like, oh man. Anyway, so there's that kind of madness.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard of that. There's this one from Xavier Leclerc, A Man with No Title. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
Neither am I. I know this one, Reem Gafar, A Mouthful of Salt.
Yes.
I think I've read this actually.
Yes, we've had it at, of course, Soma Nami.
Yes. A Nose and Three Eyes, Isan Abdel Kudus. Hoping that's how it's pronounced. A Very Giddy Christmas. I love that. This is Masobe Books.
Yeah.
What's the author? Tomilola Koko Adeyemo, A Very Giddy Christmas. And we were talking about this the other day. Africans, we don't write enough romance. I don't know what is happening with us. We have so many love stories, but we don't write romance.
Well, I think that's changing.
Okay. Tell me how many African romance books you've read.
Well,
Literally.
let me say this.
Story
No, let me
romance.
No, let me say this.
Alinishika hivyo nikasikia electricity, that kind of.
The only reason I wouldn't have a huge list is that it's not my preferred genre,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
Because I also, I do provide books and I do make them accessible, but on a personal level, I read what I like,
Gotcha.
right?
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of romance, but do I know the number of romance books that are coming out of Africa? Yes, and it's a lot, right?
Okay.
And I think in the next maybe 2-3 years, we're going to see even more. Also, come to Soma Nami, I'll take you through the list of African romance.
I'm going to do that.
Please
You
do
should
that.
curate that list, actually.
But I was actually having a similar conversation this week. And it's because when you get into conversations around African literature, there's always oh my God, it's always heavy. It's always...
Yes, we went through this war.
It's trauma, it's trauma
But
porn.
there's a lot of trauma. I agree.
But you know what?
Yeah.
And this is usually my rebuttal. I think every generation has pressing concerns. And those concerns come out through the literature that they write.
Yes.
So if we were to trace the journey of African writing and even do it sort of on a generational level and start with Chinua Achebe, the Ngugi wa Thiong'o. What was the pressing issue at the time that they were fervently writing?
Independence.
It was independence.
Yeah.
It was decolonization.
Correct.
It was getting back to an African identity. And if you read the books written during that period, those were the stories.
And those are the themes, correct.
Those were the themes.
Yeah.
And then you come into a new generation, which was more of the African identity.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, we've gotten our independence, but there are all these neo-colonial issues in all our African countries, and this is what we want to address.
Correct.
And so the next generation, those were the stories coming out of Africa.
It's true. It's
right?
reflective of what society is going through at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we're now at a turn where people are writing a bit more. We feel like we've addressed a lot of these things, or at least the literature, the material is out there. The information is out there. And now people are moving more towards writing fantasy, right?
Somewhere here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from across the continent, right? Shikonguru, if you think about her series of books about superheroes and turning that into stories. If you think about, Children of Blood and Bone and, Tomi Adeyemi and what she's writing, and so many other, fantasy, people are writing love stories.
Gotcha.
People are now writing romance. I don't know if you have encountered this author. And please, God, let me remember her name because I love her work. Okay. So she's written. So the book that I have read is The Marriage Class. She's called Adesua Nwokedi. Thank you, Jesus. She's called Adesua, and she's a romance writer.
Okay.
And she's possibly written around 16 books.
That's a
crazy.
lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's her. She's biased towards romance as a genre. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
romance. And there's a huge market for that, right?
Yeah.
And it informs the times that we're currently in,
right.
which is people are now looking for, escape, looking to think about other things other than the heavy political themes, other than the decolonial themes, the historical themes.
Yeah.
And so, it's reflective. If you think about the books that have come out this year, a lot of them are not political books.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm gonna come and go do that little tour to see.
Please do.
I never used to like romance. I think in my head it was, I don't know, romance was Mills and Boone, and I'm like, please,
Yeah.
Then I read a couple and I'm like, wow, so this can be contemporary. It can be reflective of whatever it is that we're going through. It can just be a good story.
Yeah.
But I feel like I said, I do not feel like we have enough African versions of that. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna check her out.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel challenged. There's Adam by Gobea Odubanjo. African Ghost Short Stories. This is Chinelo Onuwaulu. Nigerians, forgive me. I'm trying, girl. I'm trying.
It's fine. They always butcher my name. So anytime I hear Nigerian name, honestly, it's ridiculous.
African Possibilities, a matriarchitarian perspective. What is matriarchitarian? Have I ever heard of that word?
Maybe it comes from matriarch.
Oh, yeah.
Matriarchal.
Matriarchal is familiar. A matriarchitarian perspective for social justice. Okay.
I think nowadays you can make up a word and and run with it. What I love about Brittle Paper's list is, like you said, they've tried to really spotlight books from different countries.
Yes.
And I think they featured about 20 something countries from the continent. And
although
those are
primarily they're still Nigerian. A lot of them are still Nigerian.
Yes, that would be the only thing I would fault the list.
Yeah.
But the fact that they have tried and done at least 25 countries,
that is something
from the continent.
Actually, that is something, and
it is something.
good for them. And also, I guess I do understand the limitations because we're talking about 2024.
Yes,
and again, we do not publish as heavily, I would imagine, as other places where books are always coming out. So it's okay. I'm curious to see how this list will grow.
And also, if you think about Africa is split between Anglophone
and Francophone.
And these are all Lusophone.
These
right?
are all
and these are all English books,
Anglophone,
right?
It's true.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you think about it in that way, it's very comprehensive in terms of Anglophone writing in Africa. I think
I think some of the ones I recognize, Allow Me to Introduce Myself, Onyi Nwabineli, I remember that. An African History of Africa, Zainab
that
Badawi.
has been probably the book of the
Yes. She's Sudanese, isn't it?
Yes.
Sudanese British, I believe. That's been interesting. And So I Roar, Abidare.
Oh my gosh, she's
Girl with the Louding Voice author.
I heard her speak at Ake Festival. Incredible.
Nice.
Incredible. Yeah.
Any insights to offer on this book?
Read it.
Read the book. Okay.
Read the book. But it's I don't know if you've read The Girl with the Louding Voice.
I have not. It's been on my list for so long. I'll read it.
Okay. So the story follows Aduni The Girl with the Louding Voice is a coming of age story about Aduni.
Yes.
I'm not going to spoil it, but And So I Roar follows
so it's
Aduni.
a sequel of sorts.
It's sort of a sequel. Also a standalone. And that's the thing I love, right? It's a...
You can touch on it.
Exactly, like, the book that I blubbed, which is We Were Girls Once. It's a sequel, but also very standalone-ish. Like, you can still...
pick it up by itself.
Yes.
Bold Dandelions with Your Wishes Blown Clean Off. This is Nadifa Mohammed. It's an anthology that... Ongiatu. Oh, you like it? Oh, crap. I was like, what is Austin saying? Have you read this? Bold Dandelions? You loved it? Okay. We were at the launch of this, isn't it? The Kenyan launch for Bold Dandelions with Their Wishes Blown Clean Off. In fact, there was a reading from this book. This was at Cheche. This was earlier this year, Cheche Bookshop.
No, I think it's September.
It's September, yeah. It's not too long
September?
ago.
Yeah, September.
So the anthology is by Nadifa Mohammed, she's Somali.
Yes.
And there are different, I think there were stories from Kenya, Rwanda, Somaliland, Ethiopia. And I bought the book. I haven't read it yet. But I was at the launch, and I do recognize the fact that there was a lot of Kenyan participation within that, which is why it was launched in Kenya. Let me see. Blessings, Chukwebuka Ibe, the book that you read for 10 years. Even though it's like 200 pages. In fact, it's here.
Okay. If I knew I was coming to be shamed about the speed at which I read.
pages to be exact.
But I explained it. I explained that it was life that was lifing.
I know.
But it's honestly, I think it's probably one of the best books I've read this year.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Blessings.
High praise, and
it's
really
a
good
debut
book.
novel, isn't it?
It is a debut novel. Yeah.
Chukwebuka Ibe.
Chukwebuka.
Chukwebuka Ibe. Nigerian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Then there was, let me see the one that I recognize as well. Quite a few. Ceremony for the Nameless. This is Teresa Lola. Chaos in Kinshasa. Barley Baruti. Of course, Children of Anguish and Anarchy. Finally, I think the trilogy has come to an end. Only reason I have not read this is because I said, listen, I'm going to reread everything so that the story is fresh.
It's fresh. Okay.
But now there are so many books to read. When I think about rereading, I'm like, what? So Children of Blood and Bone, Children of Virtue and Vengeance, and now finally Children of Anguish and Anarchy. So we find out Lizelle, what's going to happen to her and her peeps. It was the legacy of Orisha. And I have not read any reviews on this because this came out in June. I know Children of Blood and Bone, we were all kind of obsessed. We were obsessed.
Oh my God, I was obsessed.
Virtue and Vengeance, a lot of people felt that it did not live up to maybe a bit of a sophomore curse, although I enjoyed it, honestly. So you know what? I think I will reread it. Let me reread it and come and now give you my commentary.
I think I also want to read, because I've read both, the first and the second.
Yeah.
I wasn't very impressed with the second one. Struggled. But I love that she took time to finish the third one.
Yeah.
I love that she took time. And I could tell there was a lot of pressure to finish the second one. You know, after the first one, and it was a 3-book deal, and you've been told
done well.
Right?
It's gonna be
and
a
you need
movie
to
now.
deliver all 3 books within a certain time,
Yes.
right? I could feel the second one, there was a bit of pressure.
Okay.
And I love that she took time, completed the third one, which I'm now very keen to read.
Okay.
Because I also
love... Are you rereading it?
I love...
The whole thing?
No, I'm not going to reread it. Oh my God, I have a TBR the size of... Oh my God. But I love stories that cook slowly.
Gotcha.
I think there's a lot of value in letting characters sit with an author and, you know, let it...
Flesh out.
Yes.
Okay, Tommy. Jacqueline Asimwe. This is Ugandan, isn't it?
Yes,
Facing Mountains.
Facing Mountains.
Yeah, I have seen this quite a bit.
Yeah.
Didn't you interview her or something like that?
I'm not the one who interviewed her, but yes, we did have a...
You had her at Nami?
We did have an event. Okay. And also she was part of our authors at the African Book Fair.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. Pemi Aguda's Ghost Roots, the short stories. This has been doing the rounds.
Yes.
I don't have a copy, but I've seen it quite a bit. Kenya, we're here. Half Portraits Underwater and Other Stories.
Yay.
Dennis Muga.
Yes, Dennis Muga.
This also launched, I think, in September, thereabouts.
Yes, September or October? September,
He's also published by Masobe.
He's published by Masobe and locally by Jahazi.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, okay. I have it. I haven't read it yet. Looking forward to it. Let me see. There's speculative fiction on this list by Mazi Nwonu, How to Make a Space Masquerade and Other Speculative Stories, which I thought, okay, I like that it's different like that. So you can, you know, of course, everyone can go ahead.
Look at that range.
Yes.
Look at just the range also in that list.
Correct.
You know, and so when people try to box African literature as if it's one genre, like this is the African literature. And then you look at this list and you're like, there's romance, there's queer fiction, there's short story, there's history, there's speculative, there's fantasy, there's romance, there's, you know, commercial fiction. Like it's incredible.
It is.
It really is incredible.
We're doing well.
Oh, we're doing so well. We're doing so well. And I've, you know, speaking to a lot of practitioners within the space, publishers, activists like myself, curators, you know, and there's a very intentional goal of putting out literature from Africa and having it blow up fast in Africa before it even goes out. Because why not, right?
These are our stories.
And that is something that we've been able to test and prove that it can happen. And that's why I love publishers like Masobe, who are just so bold and are churning out books like, oh my God,
we're doing this.
Yes, we're doing this, and we're creating a wave.
Yeah.
And we're going to put out as many stories for, from Africans, for Africans, in Africa, and export that into the rest of the world. And why not? We've been able to do it with music.
Yes.
Right? Everybody's now dancing to, the Angukanayo or Amapiano or Afrobeats.
Yeah, that's true.
To Diamond. So
Yeah.
we've been able to export aspects of our culture with music, fashion.
Correct.
I was so glad to see like Kenyan designers at the New York Fashion Week.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And
not even for the first time. We've done it previously.
Yes, right?
Correct.
So why can't we do it with
the books? It's getting there.
With literature. And I love that we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
And it's that realization that you have something valuable to offer.
True.
And for me, that's usually why I really focus on that messaging, that your story matters. It's not everybody else's story, but however your story is, however your story has built itself, it matters. It matters.
And also no one's going to tell your story better than you are.
Exactly.
You know? Another Kenyan on the list. Let Us Conspire and Other Stories, as edited by Billy Kahora.
Yeah.
Also launched this year. Akwaeke Emezi,
Let's pause and talk about that book.
Okay.
Because it's also one that I am super proud of.
Okay.
Not because I had anything to do with it, but because I've seen the process of bringing that book to life, and I've seen the journey, and I've seen the commitment. So that's also published by Jahazi.
Correct.
And Jahazi is run by Ahmed, and he wanted to put out quality Kenyan stories.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talent, but there's also some refinement that is needed to put a story together. And he conducted workshops, funded workshops for, the writers that applied, for the residency, and he conducted workshops and residencies and had, peer reviews, and the stories were being workshopped, and he funded that. And it's like I was speaking to him and listening to the journey and just how passionate he was about bringing this book to life.
Yeah.
And I feel like it should be on every Kenyan bookshelf. Like everybody in this room, you all need to buy a copy of that book because there's so much heart and soul that went into it.
Yeah.
And, put together a collective, a group of, young aspiring writers, but also more established writers who are able to sort of, provide that guidance, provide, boost also the book and give a bit of confidence to the newbies that I belong. I can't have my story next to Dennis Muga.
Yeah.
I can't have...
Who is also part of this anthology.
Like I can also have my story, alongside Alexia, And so I think he's done an incredible job. And those were some of the things that we're missing, right?
Gotcha. Actually, shout out to Alexia. I was at a reading, I think 2 weeks ago or a week ago. We were supposed to be there.
Oh gosh, yes.
It was last Tiffany week. Mugos.
It
was last week.
It was last week Friday.
For Tiffany's, what's the book? Touch. And Alexia's voice is amazing. Her voice is really, really, it's really
Did
something.
Did she do poetry?
She didn't do poetry. She just read one of the stories.
Okay.
So shout out to you, Alexia. I think, wow, blown away.
I've heard her recite poetry, and oh my God, there's just a way she captures the room with her voice.
It's something.
It
is definitely something. And she's in Bold Dandelions.
Yes.
One of her stories is in that because she read it.
Yeah.
Austin is like, yeah. Hey, and you're kitabu may Soma. But also shout out to Billy Kahora, who edited the anthology.
Yes.
Shout out to Ahmed.
Yeah.
Dairas. How do you pronounce?
Daras. Oh my gosh.
Ahmed,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Ahmed.
Yes. For actually pouring his heart and soul into doing that, because that's exactly the kind of infrastructure that we need to be able to churn out as many books as possible. We were talking about Little Rot, Akweke Emezi. That also came out this year.
Yeah.
Love, Marry, Kill, Zukiswa Wona.
Yes, there's a launch coming up soon for Love, Marry, Kill.
Yes,
and
Zukiswa.
I mean, if you've read anything by Zukiswa, you know this is also going to be another hit.
Yeah.
Another really good book.
Because she's kind of Kenyan now, isn't she?
She's very
I feel like we've adopted
Kenyanized.
her.
We have.
Yeah. So
I think every once in a while she goes back and claims South Africa, but I think we've fully adopted her.
Agreed. Chibundu Onuzu, the lady who wrote Sankofa.
Yes.
She's got a children's book, Mayoa, that came out in the Sea of Words.
Yes.
Let me see which other book on the list. Anyway, if you go to Brittle Paper, you're going to see the entire range of some incredible books from across the continent, specifically from 2024. Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a curation of your best of 2024?
I want to.
Yeah.
Because I've done that every year.
Yes.
So I think I will do one.
Okay.
Sort of like towards the end of the year. Because I
Gotcha.
definitely have read some incredible books this year. And I want a lot more people to, read those books. And if I have a platform, why not use it to shine a spotlight on books that I feel a lot more people should be reading?
That's great, because that's going to be the next question. So prepare yourself. Of course, only big bum matters tomorrow.
Yes.
Which I think, of course, the title was very. It's the kind of title that makes you want to look at the book, because I've seen this book everywhere. It's the same author from nearly all the men in Lagos
Ahmad, yes.
Yes. So I think it's about plastic surgery and our obsession with,
body image
and the big Nash period.
Yeah.
So
I mean, on the surface of it, you would assume that it's very surface level.
Yes.
But if you actually get into reading the book, there are very deep themes that come across through the journey of the women in, this family, where the lady wants to enhance her bum. But there are so many, when their backstories are now told.
pun intended.
Oh my gosh. When their backstories, and by back I mean their past.
Professional.
Yeah, but when their stories are coming to the fore and they're told,
Yes.
they're very deep themes that are coming out in the book. It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think I have not read nearly all the men in Lagos Ahmad. It's there. I
think you're the only person in Nairobi who hasn't read it.
I'll get to it. Guys, I'll get to it.
And now that you mention it,
Yeah.
thinking about a book that comes from Africa and blows up globally, that's one of them.
Yes.
Like that's a huge example of a
Yep.
book that was born and bred, edited,
Loved
fixed,
here.
loved
Yeah.
here in Africa. And then,
It's a great export.
big publishers in the US or the UK are like, what's going on here? And now they have an interest in it. So
Agreed.
now, yeah.
I love that.
From
Speaking
Africa to
of,
the world.
Helen Oyeyemi is one of those, authors from Africa who gets a lot of love internationally. She had one, Parasol Against the Axe. Haven't read it.
I haven't read it as well. I
Yes.
think the only book I have read of hers is Boy Snowbird. Is it Boy's? Her debut, I think it's called.
Is she the same author for The Woman Next Door?
No.
That's a different
Your
author.
One Day.
Yeah.
Omotosho.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, she knows everybody. Okay. I'm gonna try it
I
out.
read a lot.
Yes. There's another African on the list. Another Kenyan, on the
Okay.
list. Jambi McGrath.
Yes.
Rinsing Mukami's Soul,
Yes.
which is interesting. It's a debut, a fiction debut,
Yeah.
which means probably she's written some nonfiction. So that's interesting. Jacaranda Books. So I'm not sure if this is Jacaranda. I think this is Jacaranda UK.
Yes,
Isn't
Jacaranda
it?
UK.
Okay, that's gonna be interesting. Have you stocked this one?
Not yet, but
Not yet.
it's on our list.
Okay,
It's
to
on
get.
our list, yes, to get. So
All
we
right.
should have it in 2025.
Nedi Okafor, obviously.
Oh my gosh,
She Who
yes.
Knows. This came out this year.
Yes.
You listened to her at Ake as well. She was on the panel.
She was on the panel and
Yeah.
she also did, so for Ake there was like an opening reception that was hosted at the American residence. And so there was a conversation between Nedi and Lola, and it was such a perfect way to begin that festival.
Gotcha.
And also hearing Nedi's I want to say backstory, but you've ruined it.
Be professional, Muthoni. Ay, God, people here. So,
like listening to her story and how she came into writing. Oh my God, it was so endearing.
Yeah.
And also because I think she's the first African author to have an advance of like 6 figures.
damn.
Is it 6 or 7? Let me not even misquote
That's
it. I think
incredible.
it's 7 figures.
Wow.
And having written for Black Panther, and she's incredible. She is incredible.
Of the fantasy genre.
Yes.
I think I have read Who Fears Death. That's the only Neddy I've read. But because I'm also just getting into fantasy. I don't consider myself a fantasy diehard. So, but the fact that it's African, you want to see what else is there and how they've done it.
She has a book coming out in February, is it January 2025? For the life of me, I cannot remember the title, but it's coming out in. So guys at Ake had the opportunity to get it in advance. If you didn't come, too bad. But it's coming out in January or Feb 2025.
Thanks, skinny big deal, Muthoni.
She said this is going to be one of her most personal stories and brilliant stories. And I am so keen to read it because listening to her talking about it and just the journey of the book coming together and, how she borrowed from her own personal tragedies to write the book and how she poured everything that she had in her into that book. Yeah. It's definitely one to look out for. Yeah.
All right. Actually, speaking of things to look out for, Chimamanda has a book next year.
A woman after my own heart. Yes. We've waited 12 years.
12 years.
11 years.
Zikora. It's Zikora, isn't it? The short story.
Yes, Zikora.
Zikoria or Zikora?
Zikora.
Zikora.
Yes.
I think would be one of my favorite short stories of all time.
Yeah.
Basically describing childbirth.
Yeah.
In all its glory, but also the backstories to all of that. And I believe that Zikora is going to be a central figure in the new book.
Yes.
And so that's definitely a lot to look forward to. I think, like you said, Neddy has one, Chimamanda has one. I'm sure there's a lot of Kenyan books that are cooking.
Yeah.
I think Shikonguru also is going to release the next edition of
the third one
of her series. So, so look at, if you are able to go to brittlepaper.com or just search 100 African notable books.
Yes.
Look at that. I think it's a fantastic list. And I'm glad that we're doing all sorts of amazing things. I've even seen that there's a book about birds and bird species on that list. And I'm like, each their own. Gotcha. There's something for everybody.
I'm here for the range. I am here.
I completely get that.
Yes.
All right. So, because I know I've probably rambled on a lot. What are like the top 5 books you would recommend right now? It doesn't necessarily have to be a book that came out this year, but when it comes to African literature, which are your go-to recommendations? A book you would, let's say, give someone for Christmas or gift someone for their birthday.
Oh my gosh. Now, all the books that I have ever read in my life have just deleted themselves from my mind.
They tend to do that.
But books that I feel everybody should read. One is Chintu by...
Oh, no, I brought First Woman, not Chintu.
Chintu by Jennifer.
Yes. Why?
Oh my gosh. It's an incredible book. It's a book that I feel completely centers Africans and an African experience and does not, does not really dwell on foreign aspects of the African experience. And by that, I mean colonialism. It doesn't focus on that. So if you read the book and you're perceptive, you can tell how the time periods move, because it's a book that begins in 1750 and ends in 2010 or 2013, like in modern day Uganda. And so as the story is weaving across the time periods, you can see or you can infer just the impact of colonialism on the culture and the people of Uganda, but it's not given center stage, right? What's given center stage are the stories of the people in the book, the stories of the families, stories of aspects of African cultures, and also telling those stories in a way that dignifies African tradition and African culture. I think I loved it for that specific aspect.
Yo.
Like, aspects like curses and all these, I don't want to say weird things, but all these things that are usually very central to an African way of life that we've been for a long time made to feel like this is off.
It's witchcraft.
This is weird.
Yep.
This is witchcraft. She presents them in a way that is just part of African life. And it's
So masterful writing.
Skillful, masterful, can do no wrong. Like, she's one of those authors, for me, can do no wrong.
Yo, I have all of Auntie Jennifer's books. I haven't even read one.
Oh, gosh.
First
you
Woman,
are sleeping.
Chintu, Matches to Happen. It's those three, right?
Yes, it's those three. She has a book coming up in Feb.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
So something to look forward to in 2025 as well.
I think before June, she will have something. Because when flexing, when I met her at Ake 2022, she was working on the book.
Okay.
And this is what I'm talking about, stories stewing and
sitting
cooking and
sitting. This is why you're here to tell us about all these people you've met and the things that are coming.
So she has something coming up
Okay.
in 2024. So
Gotcha.
2025, it's gonna be another exciting year.
I love it. Also, I think something we forgot to mention in one of the notable things that have happened for us in 2024, Book Bunk is going to be at Sundance. Yeah, the making of the libraries and that whole journey is going to be at Sundance. That is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
It's massive.
It is a huge deal.
It is, yeah. So congratulations to Book Bunks. Congratulations
to
Shiro and Washuka.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Sundance. hey, we're doing well. That's a footnote for today. We're doing well, and that's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I definitely agree. Okay.
Another one. Because Austin is like, you've talked a lot. How many minutes do we have?
Okay, I'll go through them quickly.
5.
I'm not even going to describe them. So I've said Chintu.
Chintu.
I'm also going to say one of my faves.
By the way, she says Chintu. It's written Kintu, but apparently it's Chintu.
Yes, if you go to a bookstore, please look for Kintu,
yes.
not CH.
Yes.
But it said Chintu.
Gotcha.
A Broken's People's Playlist by Chimeka Gari.
Yes.
By far the best short story collection I have ever read in my life.
And I kept asking myself, because I've bought like 3 people that book as a gift. Because also when you want to borrow my copy, I'm like, wacha nikubaie.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, I'll buy it for you. I'll even buy you the hardcover.
Yeah.
Like, leave my book alone. And I was trying to think, what is it about that book that is so amazing? And it's such a lyrical storytelling, masterful storytelling, African story.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes. And I don't want to add anything else. I think everybody who knows me knows my relationship with that book. It's intense. It's very intense. I would also recommend Beneath the Lion's Gaze by Maza Mangiste.
Yes.
Also because it just gives you such a deep understanding of Ethiopia.
Correct. Especially in that time. Because it's in the 70s, isn't it?
Yes. In 74, and what happened.
Yeah.
And also telling that through the story of a family. And I love how she was able to do that.
Yeah.
So not dwelling too much on the politics, but the country was unraveling through the story of this family. Incredible. Read that book. The other book I would recommend, Havoc of Choice by Shiro Koinange. Also an incredible book.
And she said the next book she writes is going to be romance.
Okay.
FYI. So let's see.
Okay. I cannot wait to read that. But yes, Havoc of Choice is really good.
Brilliant.
Because it also brings out aspects of PEV for Kenya in a way that is, again, accessible, told through the story of this family unraveling.
Correct.
And also for me, it was shocking to read that book because there are so many, like I was here in Kenya, but I was also very blind to a lot of things that were happening. So it's that bubble of ignorance.
Correct.
And, you'd be forgiven to you wouldn't be forgiven because, read a book. But, to think that it happened to a small cohort of people. Like, I didn't feel the effects or, that kababble of ignorance, it really shatters it.
In a spectacular way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many am I up to?
4. So one more.
Okay. one more, so I have to make a wise choice. I'm wondering if let me recommend the one that I have blabbed because I see it right there. We Were Girls Once. Yeah. Let me recommend it. I think it's an incredible book that came out this year, and why I love it is just how it holds space for female friendships and just friendships in general. And it follows the story of these 3 young women now whose mothers were friends, whose grandmothers were friends. Yeah. And so there's that assumption that friendship is just a thing that is passed on. But you see the intentionality in the book in how this new generation of, daughters, how they, fought, built their friendship, and how their friendship also became a very safe space, and it became like just a balm.
Gotcha.
Like, yes, a balm. So I remember when I was asked to blab, first I was screaming because yay.
Yay.
But also reading the book.
Yeah.
And Iwanose is also a very skillful, masterful writer. And I think she's one of the writers to watch. She's definitely one of the writers.
The first one was Tomorrow I Become a Woman.
Tomorrow I Become a Woman.
And then now followed by We Were Girls Once.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Tomorrow I Become a Woman is the mothers, which also sort of like hints at the grandmothers. And then We Were Girls Once is the daughters. So, and just incredible. I loved it for its portrayal of the complexities and the dynamic of female friendships. And just how intentional you have to be in your friendships as well. So loved it and highly recommend it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And not just because you blurbed.
Not just because I blabbed, I promise.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. We could have conversations all day.
Yes.
But thank you for coming through. It was lovely talking to you.
Oh,
congratulations
you.
on all the big things that you have done as an individual and, of course, as Soma Nami. So what's next for you? What are we looking forward to in the next year?
We are looking at more of my advocacy work in terms of getting a lot more people. Like we've set a good, foundation, but there's still a lot more to do. I'm also really looking forward to collaborations and partnerships. And it's something that I started working on this year in 2024, and building a network of people not only in the country but across the continent to collaborate and really open up markets. Gotcha. Even just something as simple as being able to get books within the continent, that has been a huge challenge. And so the default is bringing in books from the UK, right? But then you have all these publishers from across the continent, and it's been a journey of trying to figure out how do the logistics work.
And it's so expensive now. Books are so expensive now.
Yes, also because taxes and everything.
Yeah.
But just being able to make those connections, and I've had, great opportunities to attend international conferences and the booksellers conferences, publishers conferences, festivals, host at festivals, which has been incredible. But what that has done has enabled me to expand those networks. And now it's as easy as I need X number of books from Nigeria and I have them in a couple of days. And that has been incredible. I'm looking to see also how Soma Nami grows. Looking forward to the 3rd edition of the African Book Fair.
Yes.
Hoping to, to grow it into an international gathering, an international feat. He's number 1 on my list. Okay. He's definitely number 1 on my list.
Yes.
Yeah, but those are some of the things I'm looking forward to.
Eddie, Tommy.
Chimamanda, we just need some Elon Musk money.
Fine. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
but good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with that. Congratulations. If you want to find Muthoni, she is at This Bookish Girl everywhere. Is there an underscore? Like there's an underscore.
There is an underscore on Instagram. So it's This underscore Bookish Girl.
At This underscore Bookish Girl. This is Instagram.
Instagram, This Bookish Girl on Twitter.
On X.
And
see, millennials have refused to call it X.
Oh, it's X.
But then we refuse. I don't know what is wrong with us.
On X.
Yeah.
And you can also find me, Soma Nami, at any of our stores, at the Greenhouse Mall or at Visit Ngara. which is an incredible neighborhood that is coming back to life. And we have one of the most iconic bookstores in this country. So, yeah.
Boss babes, bookish boss babes, but we say thank you so much and bye. The end.
Thank you so much, Koi. This has been lovely. Always fun talking to you about books. And I love talking about books. So,
it is amazing.
yeah.
And I'm wondering what is wrong with me. Today I can't do an intro or an outro to save my life.
I think we've ended it on a good note.
Yes.
Yes.
Kwaherini. Cheers.
Perfect.